Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it comes from a continuation of a message from one of our dear sisters who is saying that she got trapped in Oman. The message continues like this. I never knew that the sun's conditions were going to instill physical and emotional scars that I would have to address in the foreseeable future. I never knew at that time. I was just desperate to escape from the nightmare that I was currently living in. I was made to do dehumanizing things. His fetishes were cruel, to say the least. The son had since mentioned that since the day that I was assaulted by the patriarch of the family, the patriarch was no longer coming to my sleeping quarters. He said, "You will have to pay for your freedom," he said to me one day, "only that you will be paying in kind." One day he came with something that was neatly wrapped up. He said, "I brought you a little bit of something. You will have to eat it so that we can start an elaborate and detailed plan for your grand escape." To my horror, my brother, after I had opened up that small present, it was nothing but feces, human feces. I felt nauseated and I threw up. He took a spoon and scooped some of his poo and then struggled with me as he stuffed it into my mouth. I vomited, and the more that I vomited, the more that he got angry with me. My throat could not bring itself to swallow it, and I started gagging. I felt a hot cross on my face. He said, "I am not here to play games with you." He shouted at me as he was angry. Oh no, this was the kindness that he was talking about. I whispered to myself. I remember that in my science class when I was still at school, human waste is waste because it will be filled with bacteria, harmful bacteria. That is why it is called waste in the first place. No one is ever supposed to consume it at any point in their life. Tears started trickling down my face as he was forcing me to swallow his poo. I saw a cruel smile that started to form at his mouth, and he let out an evil laugh. "I would rather die in here," I swore to myself, "than to be exposed to this kind of horror." Sometimes he would sneak into my quarters and pour hot wax on me, burning my flesh, telling my story as I am now opening these old wounds. It is very painful to me, but I would rather tell the world the evils that I faced when I was in Oman than to let another girl fall for this trap. And I blame our politicians that have let this generation down. So much riches that are on Mother Africa, but Mother Africa is made not to be able to feed her children. That is why her children are all over the world. Some days he would bite my nipples just for the fun of it. Or should I also write about the day that he choked me? He enjoyed it a lot. He choked me to this point whereby you can actually see yourself, see your own soul as it will be leaving your own body to the point of unconsciousness. All of this for the price of freedom. What is said, sadistic man. He found joy by inflicting pain on others. The abuse, well, it continued for about a month. Every day it was one or the other. One day he came to me and said, "You have to prepare yourself for your escape because you are supposed to escape. Just don't let anyone find out that you are running away from my father because he will do something bad to you. You will either be killed on spot or you'll be maimed for the rest of your life. Either they will gouge your eyes out or chop your arm or leg, whichever that they fancy. Do not pack your clothes, because when you pack your clothes, the bag is going to slow you down." So he said, just make sure you have everything that you need. The fire in the courtyard will be the signal for you to come out of the house and make sure that you avoid walking on well-lit streets. Always walk in the dark. Do not let anyone see you. Do not trust anyone. And I have drawn the directions to the safe house. This is the paper, he said as he was shoving that paper into into my arms, and I was already nervous and shaking because of his cruel voice. Make sure you memorize everything, and when you are done memorizing, I want you to tear and swallow the paper to avoid any paper trail. Remember, should you be caught, it must never come back to me. He said, I hope you understand what I am saying. I nodded in agreement and I said yes. He then said, good. If you have understood everything, then wait for the signal, because this signal was going to come on that Friday night. The wait for Friday was a long wait. It felt like forever. Deep down, I was happy that I was going to be free from the horrors of Oman, but at the same time, I was also anxious that what if the plan fails? I had to act as normal as possible, but I was really nervous. I almost aroused suspicion because of my nervousness. Whenever I would be dishing out the meals, setting the table, one could actually see that my hands, they were shaking because I was nervous. I woke up early that day and I went on normally with my daily chores. I knew this was the last day that I would escape this modern day slavery. Yes, modern day slavery. It is real. It is there. I had vowed to myself that never again will I ever become a victim. I would never want quick money, never. Rather, I would slowly work myself out to the top. Yet I not wanted to prove a point to the world, I would have never been here in Oman in the first place. Now and then, I would discreetly peep into the courtyard to see if there was any fire there in the courtyard. Not yet. I kept on telling myself to relax, just relax, won't you? It is going to come. The whole day passed and there was nothing. And just as I was begging to doze off, the fire was lit. My heart jumped with joy. I grabbed my backpack and I walked as noiselessly as possible. Then I met the son at the gate. Goodbye, and good luck, he whispered, handing me my passport. This is a parting present. He handed me a new phone, but make sure that you do not switch it on until you're out of Oman. I even went to great lengths to copy some of your contacts in your old phone. If you do, they will trace you and they will find you. You understand what I am trying to tell you? If they find you, they are going to kill you. He said when he was actually showing me as he was like slicing with an imaginary knife on his neck. He said like this, they are going to kill you. I just nodded with tears rolling down my face. Did this guy have different personalities? Because at that time he was a soft guy, a nice guy. He was not that other cruel guy that had forced me to eat his own poo, but that I would not bother to find out because I was on my way to great freedom. I ran as fast as my legs could carry me. This was it. This was my do or die moment. I had ample time to memorize the directions on the paper that he had given to me, and after memorizing everything, I had actually chewed it because I didn't want anyone to know where I was headed to. I was walking in areas as he had told me, walking in areas that were not well lit, and whenever I would see a car coming from a distance, I would hide myself till I had passed. The plan had to be foil-proof. I think I walked for about 45 minutes or so, and I arrived at the place which the son had told me to password the person on the other side of the gate. The password was Candy. Well, when the person said Candy, I then replied Candy was the password to freedom. Not too obvious, the son had told me. As soon as the gate opened, I was led into a compound that was full of women from different nationalities all over the world who were waiting for their own escape. I could see the trauma that was written and the fear that was written all over their faces. Welcome, the woman, the soft woman with a soft voice that was standing at the gate. She said, welcome, as he opened the gate, and then I saw a familiar face, a face that I had seen before. It was that same doctor. I felt my knees go weak. My heart was racing. What if he goes to the family that had held me in bondage and and snitches on me, my life will be over. He seemed to sense my fears as I kept staring at her, and he then said, relax, relax. The doctor assured me, I am here to help you. In fact, all of these women from all over the world, they are here to help you. But I saw you back then at the family. You were working for them. I said tearfully, no, I never worked for them. Let me explain. I am a qualified medical doctor, and when I first encountered this other woman who was being abused by this other family, I made it my personal business that I would rescue as many women as possible. I tricked the family that held you into bondage, thinking that I was actually working with them. The idea is to fool them into thinking you are working with them, then you do the opposite. If they had found out that I am busy helping their investments to escape, as they call you, I'll be dead by now. It makes sense, I thought to myself. Yo, dear listeners, right there was a message that was forwarded to me by one of our admins. What a sad story, what a sad story.